como te decía, la introducción, luego tenemos pues una conversación abierta que en este caso va a ser un poquito más larga porque te vamos a hacer un demo y
Ujú,
vamos a ver un poquito de los recursos que tenemos disponibles. Pues nosotros como empresa tenemos más de 30 años en el mercado y somos líderes aquí en Norteamérica para diseño de vías forestales.
ujú,
Y también tenemos tenemos una versión para ingeniería civil. Y la diferencia básicamente es que la parte forestal también tiene una función especial para análisis de cables para cosecha aérea.
ujú.
No sé qué tanto lo
Right.
hacen ustedes en España, ¿sí? Y pues tenemos clientes alrededor del mundo. Trabajamos con forestales en Chile, en Nueva Zelanda, Australia, en Europa. Am, y la idea, pues tú me lo decías, encontraste que el programa es fácil de usar.
Sí, no sé si hablar en español o en inglés. Bueno, hablo en español. Yo lo encontré muy fácil y muy intuitivo para alguien que se ha manejado un poco en el entorno GIS y
Ujú,
en los conceptos de GIS. Bien, pim, pam
sí,
y the result.
ujú. Y sí, lo que decíamos la otra vez, que la idea es que está enfocado en ingeniería más que en dibujo, ¿verdad? No es
Ujú,
tan fino el detalle en dibujo, pero te va a dar una buena idea para tomar decisiones en la parte de ingeniería. Entonces está formado por dos módulos, tú ya lo viste, el terrain y
ujú,
location. Y en la parte de location tenemos incluida la parte de la optimización de movimiento de materiales. Y ahora tenemos una función nueva en Terrain que va a ser un explorador de caminos, de opciones
ah,
de ruta. Eso está muy interesante también. Yo te puedo compartir un video cuando terminemos la plática. Y pues
vale.
los requerimientos del sistema realmente no necesitas un computador demasiado pesado. Entonces, ¿cómo funciona? Ya sabes tú, esto me lo voy a saltar rápido porque ya lo viste más o menos. En Terrain haces tu mapa o tu superficie de
Ujú,
trabajo y luego en Location ya haces la parte del alineamiento horizontal, vertical y los ajustes que necesites, agregar drenajes, etcétera. Entonces, en términos de compatibilidad, puedes importar bastantes tipos de formatos, exportar también. Entonces, eso lo hace compatible con muchos tipos de programas, ¿verdad? Eh,
ujú,
por si tienes, trabajas con constructores de vías, con empresas forestales, etcétera. Esta es una vista típica del programa, es flexible, cualquier cambio que tú haces lo vas viendo en
ujú.
tiempo real. Y hay algunas otras funciones avanzadas por si tú le quisieras preguntar a Matt. Entonces,
Vale,
específicamente para el área forestal, lo que te decía del análisis de cables para
del
cosecha.
cable.
Ajá, emplazamientos de puentes, la optimización de movimiento de materiales que te decía
Mm,
y visualizaciones, digamos, con efectos especiales para que tú puedas ver el material que se tiene que remover. También tiene herramientas de hidrología, por si
ujú.
te da alguna pregunta. Entonces, listo, con esto.
Vale,
With this brief
ok,
introduction, I leave you with Matt.
ok, you can.
All right. And yeah, I'm probably
Oh,
gonna
and
end up apologizing a few times, but I I didn't catch any of that.
yeah, I'm going to turn off my camera to
Okay,
save some space here.
I'll do the same. Uh, so I had a look at the files you sent. My first impressions are, well, this is great. This guy gets it. So I guess with that, I'd hazard a guess my usual spiel isn't going to be as valuable. Is there any particular areas you'd like to focus on things when I work through the process? Just given where you got with your trial.
No, no, I would like to see the same process that I made done by a professional. You know.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Um. So, uh, and a lot of this stuff, I'll just start from square one. A lot of it's going to be stuff that you're already aware of. Um. But the software is modular. So we're going to start in terrain, and then we're going to switch over to
Hmm.
location. Uh,
Okay.
Now, with this, it looks like you built your topo surface with the existing contours. Is that a fair assumption?
Te preguntas si tú hiciste tu superficie topo ya incluido
Sí,
las curvas de nivel.
nosotros en Cataluña, donde yo soy, tenemos
Ajá,
un servidor de cartografía, pero
ajá,
las curvas de nivel pues las tuve que densificar un poco para tener un poco más de resolución. Nosotros aquí podemos descargar fácilmente curvas cada 5 metros
ajá.
con
Ok,
una topografía muy, muy buena, sin necesidad de hacer levantamiento topográfico.
ok.
Y yo lo que hice fue densificarlo un poco para, más que nada porque yo estaba haciendo como una prueba, pero como vi
Ajá.
que el resultado iba bien, pues seguí la prueba hasta el final.
Ok. Y esto es LiDAR, sí, ¿verdad?
No, esto
Lo que
es
tienes disponible.
lo que tengo disponible y yo supongo que está procesado a partir de LiDAR.
Ok,
También tenemos disponible LiDAR directamente
perfecto.
en Cataluña,
Ah,
toda la superficie.
okay. Matt, this is data that they have available publicly,
Okay.
but he added more contour lines
Contour.
to make it, yeah, to densify it and have a better view.
Okay.
But they have, sorry, available every 5 meters, data
Okay.
every 5 meters, yeah.
All right. So yeah, when you brought this in, it would have been insert file, and you would have grabbed your data, and then you came over here and click generate, and you would have got the contours that you've produced. One thing I guess that I'll mention, by creating additional contours in our software, it's not going to change the surface, so it'll just give you that added context of where things might be. Another note is um, the contour or the contours come from some other source, and if we go on, oh, just bear with me. Spain has an open portal where you may be able to find the actual source data, and all that will do is if you use the either LAS or even a DEM file, it'll fill in the additional details that land in between your contours.
Okay.
So on the steep stuff, it's not as big of a deal, but when you get into these kind of peaks or on flatter terrain, it'll give you the additional information that will fill in that data for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, it's yeah, maybe an opportunity, but at the same time, you've got a surface, and we can certainly work with that surface. Now the other thing that I guess I'll mention is you've got your projection set. If you want a little added context of where things are at, you can click home and import live maps, and you can download an image of the area and have that for a background. And are you able to guide me into the area that you'd like to focus your project on?
Yeah. I don't understand you right now.
Oh,
Dice que si lo podrías guiar en el área en la que tú estás. Y tú me vas diciendo como más al centro, a derecha, izquierda.
Okay, I can give you the coordinates. It's easier for me and for you.
okay. Actually, I can once again, I'll cheat a little bit, and I'll just grab your design file, and I'll grab the KML out of it, and then we'll work backwards a little bit just to save having to type out coordinates.
Marcel, ¿te parece que está hablando muy rápido? ¿Quieres que le pida a Matt que
No,
les...
yo entender, yo le sigo. Lo que pasa que
ok.
hasta que,
Tú
¿sabes?
me
Hasta que
preguntas
no
en
puedo.
español y yo se
Sí,
lo
sí,
paso,
sí,
no
sí,
te
sí.
preguntes, no te
Sí, sí,
preocupes,
sí,
ok.
sí.
Sorry. All good, Matt. I'm gonna do I'm gonna help with the questions.
All right, perfect. Now where are we at here? right, so we've got this KML. All right, so that's, and with this, I'll just do that same thing, but with that feature selected, it'll zoom into where we want to be.
Okay.
And I'm just doing this so we don't have to download a larger area than what we need. So we've got that.
Okay. You are opening my eyes, you know.
All right, and I'll just save this as an image, and this gets dropped in the background. So now as we're clicking around, we just have a little bit of extra context for where things are that we'd like to put them. So I won't save anything here. We'll just continue along with your topo file. And just for the sake of going through the motions, we can jump over to the location. And we're going to click File, New File. We're going to browse to where we have that saved. And I'll just start at the center of terrain. And we've already taken the time to download that image. So we'll right click in our plan view. We'll click Plan Options. We'll click the little plus next to our background, and we're going to select that image. And then we'll click Open. And there's a draw order here, so we want the image at the top. And that is over here.
Okay.
I'm going to just grab that point and I'll move it over here. And I guess we probably should have saved that.
You can work with that if you are in ArcGIS or in, yeah, that's it.
So if we want to come off this road and circle up around here, the first design decision that I'll make is, well, let's set our cross-section geometry to be appropriate. Now we can change it along the length of our road if we need to. But I'm going to go in here and I'm going to just switch to, you won't have to do this, but I'm going to just switch to be my default cross-section to be the resource road one. So we can come in here, the template. So if you're coming from a civil background, the template is kind of like an assembly, and then we have these components which are kind of like a sub-assembly. The template itself doesn't hold a lot of parameters. We can set our crown, but it's the components that have a lot of the geometry that we'll want to adjust. So do you have a road width?
4.5.
4.5. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll go 2.25 on one side. Are you putting surfacing material down? Aggregate?
30 centimeters of material.
Okay.
Up.
And then we can set our fill slopes to be whatever we'd like for that as well. I'm going to just switch this so my road is set on top of my surfacing rather than subgrade, or the center line. And we could do the same on the other side, or we can just click delete. We can hit copy, and we can paste that to the other side.
Okay.
So ditches, very similar. We can change our parameters to whatever we'd like. And then slopes, I'm going to leave it as auto, but if we wanted a fixed cut slope value, for example, we could come in here and we could say, well, let's go 1.5 to 1. I'm going to leave it at auto though, and I'll talk about what that is after. And then I'll just mention it. So this default is great if your road prism's a simple gravel road. If you have something that is a little out of the ordinary that you want to account for, you can go onto the E-library and this has a collection of pre-made components that you can pull in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So if you had, oh, I don't know, something where you expected big cuts and fills, and you wanted
special,
to, yeah, well,
okay.
Let's do a bench cut just to as a talking point here. So we can come in here, we can say, well, let's paste that bench cut parameter in here. We don't want to apply it in fill, and we'll set our bench height for bench base width. We'll go 2. And now if we get in that condition that warrants it, it's going to add a bench for us automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think we'll need it for this one, but yeah, just for the concept. So I'll hit OK. And the default template is applied. So we've got our roadway looking like that. And then we can come in here and we can kind of start designing. Now I'm going to hit the zoom to extents button. So as I click through, we can see what the ground's doing underneath. So if I pull that up, we can see we're getting more of a slope. And I'm going to hold off on adding in a bunch of IPs for my curves. So instead,
I can see you right now.
Pardon me?
In my PC, I don't see you. Okay.
No.
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 No. No.
I can stop sharing my screen and I can turn it back on.
One moment. Yeah.
I was able to see your screen, Matt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I see it in the phone, but not in the PC. Let me one moment, please.
Yeah.
Well, I can see you in the phone. You can continue while.
Oh, I don't mind waiting if you want to move things
You
around.
want to exit from the computer and try to start again?
I'm doing that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I can hang tight. I think it would, if it were me, it'd be hard to watch on a phone, so I don't mind waiting a few minutes.
Okay. Maybe you have a. Okay. That's okay. I'm again.
All right.
Okay.
So I guess as I clicked in my horizontal, I've just clicked in the kind of main turning points, and then I'll add my curves to that. So I'll go over to my horizontal curves panel, which I can access over here as well. And I'll say, well, I want this to be a 20-meter curve to start, and it's giving me a warning that it doesn't fit. So I'll pull this out a little further, pull that out a little further until I can fit the curve that I'd like, and I'll go 18 instead. So we're gonna have a big old cut right off the start. And then we can contour around, we can go to the next IP. I'll go with a 35-meter curve. And we can continue along kind of that way, adding our curves in. Now, as we do this, it's all interconnected. So I'm going to just zoom to extents on my 3D view here. And I'm going to just, this doesn't affect the design at all, but it makes it a little easier to see. And I'll just set this up. So I've added a corridor surface. I'm going to make this just contrast with the terrain surface. So I've got my topo that's gray, and I'm going to make that topo transparent by changing the alpha channel. Now we can see kind of our where things are at. And as we click in our profile, we can see where our cuts and fills are here too. And we can make those adjustments, and everything is going to interact and show us where we're at in real time. And we can get close to balancing. Now, I'm not going to get too carried away with that. But we can add our vertical curves in once we're happy with where we've got things. I'll add K values.
Estoy alucinado, ¿eh?
He's liking
And,
it there, Matt.
oh, great. Yeah, so we can see what we're dealing with, and then as we refine things, it's all interconnected, and we aren't stuck with kind of doing one first and then the other. We can say, well, let's try pulling out our switch back a little further, and we can do that. We can see how that's affecting our geometry. Now I'm going to hit undo. I liked where I had it the first time, and yeah, we can see as we say move our fill into a lower position, that cuts and fills changing our model.
Yeah.
So
Great.
we can take this, and I'm going to just let's drop that a little bit further. And so if we want to leverage this portion of the software where we have auto selected, we can assign different ground types along the length of our road. So if we expected this cut portion to be in rock, and it's going to cost more than our other materials, we can assign that. So we could say, well, this nose is going to be shallow bedrock from station 50 to 120. We can go up to assign by range. We can go into our subhorizons, and we can say, well, most of our material is just superficial materials, so we'll call it hardpan. And then for this other section, we'll say that we've got hardpan over solid rock. That hardpan is only 50 centimeters deep, and we'll apply that from 50 to 120. So when we do that, we can see we've got that cut slope angle here. The differs from our cut slope angle, say out here, where we've just got that superficial material. So you can build out these libraries of different ground types in our ground type editor, where you can set different cut slope and fill slope angles for different materials. You can add new materials as you see fit. And then a really nice thing is you can add expected costs to it. So if we expect that drilling and blasting is going to be $28 a cubic meter, we can put in whatever we'd like for a number, or we could change it. We can have a fill cost associated with it, and we can have our movement costs assigned in here as well. So we can account for the longitudinal movement of that fill material to be moved ahead. So then we can take that and we can click this little recalculate recost button. And it's going to tell us, well, based off the cost parameters, we've got $59,000 to build our road. Now the next part to this is if we want to optimize it instead. So this is, so far I've just kind of covered the basic RoadEng stuff. We have our optimal module, which is an add-on. If we want to tell the software to figure out the best vertical alignment for that, we can. And set our spacing. I'm going to say, well, let's allow grades that are 12 to 20. We'll give it a minimum sag of 3, crest of 3, sag of 4. And let's say that those curves have to be at least 30 meters. We'll add a control point at the start. We can hit OK, and rather than going through and designing that by hand, we can click vertical optimization process, and the software is going to move that road up and down to minimize our costs. So if I'm letting the software do it, I've got my costs from, well, this number here down to this number here, so 32. And yeah, so that's optimal, and it does a very good job of tracking material movement. So it's using something a little different than the straight mass haul. So we can have different materials going different directions. And yeah.
Excuse me. The
Yep.
thing, lo que hay abajo a la izquierda,
Dime, sí.
esto es
Eso es el movimiento de materiales.
la
Tú
gráfica esta que hay.
puedes, es la gráfica que está abajo a la izquierda, es
Sí.
para mostrar, tú puedes ver ahí o puedes especificar hacia dónde quieres mover los materiales.
Ay, perdón.
O sea, por ejemplo, si, si quieres, digamos, tener sitios de préstamo, sitios de descarte de
Ya.
materiales.
Lo puedes
Ujú,
customizar. Vale.
sí. ujú.
Vale,
So-
ok.
sorry, Matt, I was trying to explain OptiHole, but I'm not sure. It's customizable and you can set the direction of burrows and pits, right?
Yep, you can add
Okay.
bores and pits in there, and
Sí.
the big thing versus a standard mass haul is it's going to track your individual materials separately.
Yeah.
Ok. Sí,
Yeah.
puedes asignar por materiales. Si tú quieres, por ejemplo, roca sólida, tienes arena, tienes grava, puedes
Sí.
asignar por materiales. Ujú.
And we can add pits and spoil sites. We can also, if we're building this and we aren't going to be able to move material ahead. So if we can't take our cut material from here to there, well, we can assign, well, let's only allow that cut to be moved backwards from the start to station 120. Now this is going to increase our costs because it's going to be more constrained, but we can tell it to plug away here, and it's got a different solution that accounts for this fact that we can't move that material to fill in that position up ahead. So it's fairly smart and fairly flexible to account for the things that they don't want to account for. I'm going to just cheat. I'm going to remove that. And
sorry, Matt. Perdona, Marcel, ¿tú invitaste a Jordi Vigué?
Sí, es el colaborador que sí le dije que estaríamos, que bueno, entendí que lo podía permitir.
Se fue, claro. Con
Pues
todo gusto, solo que se me fue. Ahorita lo quería invitar, pero ¿le puedes poner tú un texto o algo que sí? Sí, claro que sí.
Que vuelva a picar. Un
Sí,
segundo.
por favor, solo quería confirmar contigo.
All right. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Matt, we're waiting for somebody. It's Marcel, colleague.
Oh, okay.
Un segundo, que le mando un WhatsApp.
Sí, perfecto. Gracias. Just a sec, Matt.
Yep.
Ya está. Okay.
Ready. Okay.
You can continue, please.
All right. Yeah, so that's optimal. And then if we want to continue with our design process, we can of course add in things like your culverts. So I've got my culvert panel here. We can access that over here. So I'll add in a culvert. I can change the dimensions of that. So if I want that to be a 450 mil culvert instead, we can. And we can see it in our prism there. If we'd rather that to match our crossfall, we can turn that on. So it's going to match the slope of the ground. Or if we want to just manually set it to be something else, we can. And then we can go through and it's auto sizing from inlet to our pores. And we can say, well, I don't want to have a funny length cut. We'll just round that up to 5 and 6. And we can control that way. And then if we want to change our skew, of course we can. So let's go.
Sí, esto es infinito.
Sí.
And yeah, so that's culverts. Now, all of this stuff, it's nice to have a tabular breakdown of it, not just the graphics. So we can produce a data table. So we'll come in here. Now I'm going to include totals. I'm going to get rid of a bunch of this stuff just because a lot of noise. We'll start from scratch. And I can choose, well, okay, I want to report my cuts and fills. But instead, if I want to report my specific materials, I can go into the volumes OptiHull and I can say, well, let's look at our solid rock and hard pan cuts and fills separately for those different material types. And there we are. So we can see our total volumes, 15 and 1580. And of that, we've got 1200 cubes cut of hard pan and that much of our solid rock. And what else do I have here? Hard pan, solid rock. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So it's mostly the solid or the hard pan that's our cut and tracks with that. We can do other data tables as well. So if we added a bunch of culverts and we want to populate that, we can come in here and we can say, let's look at our culverts. We want culvert diameter and length, and we'll probably want the station as well. I should have added that in. And instead of just reporting it every so often, I want to see this reported just where I've added culverts. So instead of using my profile points, I'll go down here and I'll choose my culvert insertion points. And there we are. So all of these things that I've messed around with, like our templates, we can save our templates for future use. So we can say, I want to save this default. And if I save over my normal TPL, that'll be what appears when you open the software next time for your next project. If I want to save the screen layout with all these data tables already set up, we can save that as a screen layout here. So view, screen layout, save. And if I save over my normal, then these windows are going to be positioned and line types and whatnot set to suit when I open the software. And then we can, if we're happy with our design, we can go over to this little button here, which is our multi-plot editor. And yeah, I saw you already got there with this too. So, but we can set our page size to whatever we'd like. We can turn on a grid to make it a little easier to edit things, and we can build out these documents with from scratch if you'd like. Or, of course, it's not that fun to build these by hand. Or, yeah, so we can always start with something that's already been formatted. And we can customize this. So I'm going to change my scale to be 500. I'm going to customize what we're looking at here as well. So I want 500 by 100. And I'm going to control what we're seeing for subviews down here. So let's remove that. Let's remove that. And let's go with a 30% size. And so we can customize what we're seeing there. And we can add in, of course, additional chapters for things like cross-section geometry. And for this cross-section geometry, if we want to control the frequency that we see those cross-sections, we can highlight the subview and change our point types here. So if we wanted every 10 meters and anywhere that we've added a culvert, we can turn off whatever we had selected, turn on the ones we like, customize them if we'd like to change the spacing. And there we are. And that is kind of my typical spiel. So if yeah, any questions?
No, not for me.
No.
Well, this is Jordi. We work together a lot of times. You know, he's a forest engineer also.
Nice. Hi, Jordi.
No sé, ¿tienes ninguna pregunta, algo que quisieras ver, algo adicional?
Yo necesito ver el vídeo 2 o 3 veces.
Ok. Ya,
Porque Jordi lo están grabando, entonces nos pasarán el vídeo y lo podremos mirar así con más detenimiento.
claro. ¿Sabes? Lo que te puedo ofrecer es que lo vamos a poner no listado públicamente para que cualquiera lo pueda ver, pero solo para ustedes dos, pero en YouTube para que
Mm,
lo puedan ver con subtítulos también por si les
Vale,
interesa. ¿Sí?
vale.
¿Les
Sí,
podría
sí, sí,
servir?
perfecto. Sí,
Ok,
sí, sí.
muy bien. Y sí, y cualquier duda que tengan, pues ya lo vamos viendo más
Sí,
adelante.
y yo creo que el programa da la talla de sobras. Lo que comentamos el otro día con Jordi es si un despacho pequeño o un profesional que utiliza esta tecnología muy pocas veces al año o unas cuantas veces, pues se puede permitir un programa así, que es lo que no tenemos ni idea
Del
del coste.
precio. Sí, si
Sí.
quieres, podemos platicarlo. Lo que podríamos hacer es, ¿ustedes son solo los dos en la empresa o
Bueno,
cuéntame un
Jordi es una
poquito más?
empresa, Jordi tiene una empresa de ingeniería y yo soy un poco un freelance, pero muchas veces trabajamos juntos en diferentes proyectos.
Ok,
Entonces, bueno, yo al final los descubrí buscando por la red y bueno, lo comentamos con Jordi y bueno, nos pareció un programa interesante.
claro. Nosotros, pues yo te comentaba, somos una compañía pequeña y muy flexible también y sí ofrecemos descuento especial para, digamos, para gente que es como consultor independiente, que sería como los
Mm,
tomaríamos a ustedes.
mm,
Y déjame ajustar un poquito los precios. Yo tal vez
ujú.
te puedo mandar un poquito más lo que nosotros tenemos y te lo puedo enseñar aquí. Sorry, Matt, can I steal the screen from you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you. And we were talking just about a little bit about pricing here.
Okay.
Give me one sec. And can you see my screen? ¿Pueden
Ya,
ver mi pantalla ya?
sí.
Ok. Entonces, más o menos, esto es lo que manejaríamos tenemos opciones de licencias de suscripción. Si quisieran empezar con eso, lo que ofrecemos es que, por ejemplo, ustedes van con 6 meses y luego quieren subir a una licencia perpetua, entonces lo que hayan usado para los 6 meses se toma como
Ah, va.
abono, digamos, al pago de la licencia perpetua. Y esta que está acá es sin el optimizador. El optimizador te sube.
Yo ahora no veo la pantalla, ¿eh?
Ah, ok, espérame. Eh, Listo.
Ahora,
¿Ahora sí la ves? Ok.
sí.
Entonces te decía que hay opción de suscripción a 6 meses, a un año y la licencia perpetua. Los precios que están abajo son los precios que manejamos, digamos, para nivel comercial, que es para empresas grandes. Y
Ujú,
tienen un descuento para consultores independientes, que es el que ven en verde. Y como te
ujú.
decía, se puede tomar parte de ese pago como para, digamos, si
Ya,
ustedes deciden empezar con una suscripción para moverse después a la licencia perpetua,
vale.
¿verdad? Em, y pues no sé si decidieran hacer una licencia perpetua, pero quieren, por ejemplo, no sé, hacer dos pagos, también lo podemos arreglar,
Vale.
¿verdad?
Yo, yo,
Esta es sin el optimizador. El optimizador de que te mostró Matt para ver la cuestión de costos y eso, le
ya.
sube, para la licencia perpetua está como en $600, más o menos.
Ujú,
Pero
ujú.
como te digo, si pues ustedes están interesados y no le llegan al precio, lo platicamos y yo puedo conseguirles un descuento adicional.
Vale. ¿Y esto permitiría, por ejemplo, multiusuario? No, no lo veo.
Sí, es una licencia, no está acá, pero es una licencia de Cloud-based, está en la nube.
Vale, sí, sí, sí.
Entonces, no está asignada por usuario, sino que la pueden tener, por ejemplo, tú en tu computador y tu colega
Vale,
en el suyo, ajá.
vale. Y utilizarlo un rato uno y un rato el
Sí,
otro. Sí,
correcto, porque
vale.
está limitado a un usuario a la vez.
Sí, sí, sí,
Ujú,
sí, entendido,
ujú.
entendido. Vale. Yo, sí, perdón, Jordi, habla.
No, bueno, seguro que en principio no usarlo los dos a la vez, seguro que no, porque eh, o sea, por el tipo de proyectos que hacemos normalmente y cuando hacemos este tipo de proyectos que lo solemos hacer también ya en colaboración con Marcel, Bueno, pues los dos a la vez seguramente que no lo usaríamos. Y
Ok.
esto ya lo has dicho ahora, está en dólares, ¿eh?
Está en dólares canadienses, sí.
Dólares canadienses.
Sí, es como 75 centavos de dólar americano, por si te suena más la referencia, es un dólar canadiense. Estamos un
Bueno,
poco
no,
más abajo
voy a ver el cambio con euro.
con euros.
¿Eh?
Déjame ver
Y,
por acá rápidamente, a ver si lo puedo. A ver.
11.000. Vale.
Euro.
Yo creo que
¿Cuánto dijimos? Por ejemplo, Canadian dólar.
2.7.
2.700. Eso sería 1.800 euros.
bueno.
Ujú.
Vale. Vale.
Bueno,
Yo creo, yo
ya
por lo
sabemos
menos,
más o menos dónde tenemos una idea de dónde estamos.
Sí, y
yo por lo menos
el
necesito
optimizador,
ver el.
$400 por el optimizador.
Vale. Yo necesito ver el vídeo 2 o 3 veces
Correcto.
porque nos ha dado mucha información y bueno, yo creo que estamos en contacto.
Ok,
Sí.
perfecto. Perfecto.
Sí,
Sí,
Cuéntenme
bueno.
si sí, seguimos. Ahorita, Jordi, yo no tengo tu email, pero si
ahora te lo paso.
tú
Sí,
me
Te
lo
lo
quieres pasar,
mandamos.
sí, yo les mando la
Sí.
presentación esta por
sí,
correo, un
sí,
link para que la puedan
sí,
ver y
sí,
seguramente van a haber más preguntas. Siéntanse en
sí.
confianza de mandarlas y
Vale.
aquí vamos
Mail,
viendo. Sí,
vale,
por mail.
Venga,
Ajá. Ok, perfecto.
muchas gracias.
de acuerdo.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Sí,
Okay,
solo una
thank you, guys.
cosa.
Sí, dime.
Sí, salía en la pantalla anterior, ponía dólares CAD. ¿Qué
Es
significa CAD?
canadienses.
Ah, vale, claro.
Ajá. Sí,
Vale.
no te preocupes.
Muy
Muy
bien.
bien.
Vale,
Vale.
Gracias por
pues
hacer el
ya
tiempo.
está.
Cuídense.
De
Feliz,
Thank
nada
you so much.
y
feliz noche para ustedes,
venga.
¿verdad?
Bueno,
Sí,
ahora,
sí,
feliz
sí, sí,
tarde.
sí.
Sí, sí.
Ok. Que estén
Pues
bien.
vale,
Chao.
muy bien.
Thank
Ahora.
you, Matt.
Adiós.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.